Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah wa ba'd. So this is the first in an ongoing series of lessons from this book, the three fundamental principles, al-usul al-thalatha, by the Sheikh, the Mujaddid, Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, rahmatullah alayh. And we're going to be primarily reading from, benefiting from the explanation of Sheikh Salih al-Fawzan, hafidhahullah wa ra'ah. And this book, it is from the foundational books of Aqidah that it is incumbent upon or befitting for the student of knowledge to study and to learn. If you have the ability to memorize this book, then we encourage everyone to memorize it, inshallah ta'ala. You need just the metin or the text itself. You should memorize this book. And it's centered around some of the usul or the foundational aspects of the religion. And the usul, yani, is the term usul is the plural of asl. It's the plural of asl. And the asl, yani, its linguistic meaning is a root, like the root of a tree, right? A root like the root of a tree. In the legislation, it is that which the religion is built upon, right? That which any concept from the religion is built upon. So whatever you embark upon studying, whether you're studying Aqidah, you're studying Arabic language, you're studying fiqh, and you should start with the usul of that science. You start with the foundational aspects of the science, the principles on which that science is built. Now, if you don't start with the principles upon which that science is built, then you will not attain your objective. As the Arabs, they say, Man hurimal usul, hurimal wusul. That whoever is deprived of the usul, of the foundational aspects of that science, hurima al-wusul, will be deprived of reaching and attaining his goal. Right? You're not going to attain your goal. Whether you're studying fiqh, Arabic language, whatever it may be, right? You start with the foundational aspects of that science. So these are three foundational aspects of the science of Aqidah, right? And these three usul, they are based upon the three questions that we're going to be asked inside of our graves, right? This is what these usul al-thalath are based upon, right? Knowledge and awareness of Allah, knowledge and awareness of the Prophet, knowledge and awareness of the Deen of al-Islam. As we know, we're going to be asked about these three affairs. Who is your Lord? It's knowledge and awareness of Allah. Who is your Prophet? Knowledge and awareness of the Prophet. What was your religion, right? And so this is what this book is based upon. So we're gonna go right into the actual work, and we're not gonna go to the muqaddim of the sharih of the author or the explainer rather, because we've taken the books of the Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab in the past here in the masjid. We've taken, for example, Sitta Mawadim min al-Sirah, or 60 events from the prophetic Sirah. We took that book, we took Kashf al-Shubuhat, and we explained these books. And each one of these books that we explained, we went to a bit of the author's biography, and so on and so forth. So there's no need to go through the author's biography because we've already gone through that, inshallah ta'ala, or mashallah tabarakallah. And likewise, Sheikh Salih Fawzan, he needs no introduction. This is the Alama, the Mufti of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the Alama Sheikh Salih al-Fawzan. So we'll go right into the work itself, and we pick up from the statement of the author, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. He begins with something called al-Basmalah. Sheikh Salih says, an explanation of the author's statement, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, ابتدأ رحمه الله هذه الرسالة بالبسملة اقتداء بكتاب الله عز وجل. That the author began this risala with what's known as al-Basmalah. Now you have two things, right? You have al-Basmalah and you have at-Tasmiyah. Al-Basmalah and at-Tasmiyah. The Basmalah specifically is the statement Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is called al-Basmalah, right? At-Tasmiyah is the mere mentioning of Allah's name, right? The mere mentioning of Allah's name. You may say Bismillah, that's at-Tasmiyah, right? This is at-Tasmiyah. There are certain times when the Basmalah should be said, certain times when at-Tasmiyah is said, right? The Basmalah, it is to be said, and it is as is known, it is a verse at the beginning of every surah in the book of Allah, with the exception of which one? Surah Tawbah, right? So al-basmala comes at the beginning of every surah from Allah's book, other than Surah At-Tawbah, right? Likewise, you say al-basmala, you're going to put it at the beginning of writings. For example, you put it at the beginning of your letters, as the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam, he would write letters, sending them to the various rulers of the earth, and he would begin them with al-basmala. And we know that Sulaiman alayhi salam, when he wrote to Bilqis, right, he put at the beginning of his risala to Bilqis, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, right? And other than that, so you put at the beginning of writings, whether they are religious writings or letters that are to be written to someone who you intend to write to, and like to this. The tasmiyah is said at certain times as well. You say a tasmiyah when you sit down to eat, for example. Right? When you eat, you say a tasmiyah. You say Bismillah. We don't say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We just say Bismillah. Right? If you're trying to remember something that you forgot, for example, Bismillah. Right? If you are, if you're walking and you stumble or you trip, you say Bismillah. It's from the Sunnah. Right? And other than this, from the times when the tasmiyah is said. So the author here, he begins his risala with al-basmala, following the example of the Book of Allah. For the Book of Allah, it begins with al-basmala. So the Shaykh says, فَإِنَّ أَوَّلْ مَا يَقَعْ عَلَيْهِ بَصَرَكَ. So the first thing that your eyes hit when you open the Mus'haf is Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. He says that في البداء بها في الرسائل وفي الكتب وفي المؤلفات اقتداء بكتاب الله عز وجل. So therefore, to begin with al-basmala in letters or books or authorships, this is a following of the example of what is in the Book of Allah. وكذلك النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يكتبها في أول رسائله حينما يكتب إلى الأمراء والرؤساء. And the Prophet as well, alayhi salam, he would write this basmala at the beginning of his letters, whenever he would write letters to the various rulers and leaders. وَإِلَى مَنْ فِي أَقْطَارِ الْأَرْضِ يَدْعُوهُمْ إِلَى الْإِسْلَامِ. And those who were in the various provinces of the earth, he would write them letters calling them to al-Islam. And he would always begin with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وكان صلى الله عليه وسلم يفتتح أحاديثه وكلامه ببسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Similarly, he would begin, open up his speeches. He would begin with his speeches, the khutbah, and the likes of this. He would begin with al-basmala. مما يدل على أن البداء بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سنة الرسول عليه الصلاة والسلام. All of this is from that which proves that beginning with the basmala, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, is a sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. كما أن سليمان عليه السلام لما كتب إلى بلقيس ملك سبأ بدأ كتابه ببسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Similarly, the Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam, as we mentioned previously, when he wrote to Bilqis, who was the queen of Saba, the queen of Sheba, when he wrote to her, he began his letter with this basmala. As Allah Ta'ala says, قالت يا أيها الملأ إني ألقي إلي كتاب كريم. She said, O assembly, indeed there has been delivered to me a noble letter. إنه من سليمان وإنه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. It is from Sulaiman and it begins بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألا تعلوا على وَأْتُونِي Muslimin. Will you not yield and come to me as Muslims? Naam. So therefore it says ينبغي بدء بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم في كل أمر له أهمية. So therefore it is proper that one begins with this basmala in every affair that has importance. Any affair that has importance, you begin with this basmala. وكل مؤلف له أهمية وله قيمة. And every writing, every authorship that has value and that has worth, then and likewise every letter, it should begin with this basmala. وعلى هذا فالذين لا يبدأون مؤلفاتهم ورسائلهم ببسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هؤلاء تركوا السنة النبوية والاقتداء بكتاب الله. So therefore, whoever does not begin with the basmalah, whoever writes and does not begin with the basmalah, they don't begin their writings and their authorship with it, then they have abandoned a prophetic sunnah, and they have abandoned taking the example of the book of Allah Azza wa Jal. ربما بسبب ذلك أن كتبهم هذه ورسائلهم ليس فيها بركة. So and it is perhaps for this reason, the fact that they abandon this sunnah, that their writings and their authorships do not have blessing within them, nor do they have benefit inside of them. لأنها إذا خلت من بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فإنها منزوعة الفائدة. He says, so, because if it is devoid of that, then it has been stripped of its benefit. Due to this, he says, وَلِمَاذَا تَرَكُوا بِسْمِ اللَّهِ الرَّحْمَنِ الرَّحِيمِ. Why is it that you find people abandoning بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم؟ إنما تركوها لأنها سنة وهم ينفرون من السنة. They are abandoning it because this is something from the sunnah, and the people leave off the sunnah. They run away from the sunnah, or they blind follow those who run away from the sunnah. فينبغي أن تنبه لمثل هذا. So it is incumbent upon us that we pay attention to the likes of this issue. So what is the meaning of the basmalah? The meaning of the basmalah, in the name of Allah, the most merciful, the bestower of mercy, its meaning is, right, or its import, why we put it at the beginning of our writings, at the beginning of our speeches, and the likes of this, he says, because it is al-isti'ana bismillah. It is seeking help with the name of Allah, right? So it's though you're saying, in the name of Allah, I write, right? I'm seeking help with Allah Ta'ala's beautiful name, right? Upon my writing. He says, فَقَوْلُهُ بِسْمِ اللَّهِ جار ومجرور متعلق بمحذوف. So the statement Bismillah, you have the jar and the majroor. You have a preposition and a prepositional phrase, right? The phrase that is affected by the preposition. In the Arabic language, jar and majroor, right? He says that, and it is connected to a mahdhuf. It is connected to a clause that has been omitted, right? It is implied and understood, even though it's not written there. You find this often in the Arabic language, even in the phrase La ilaha illallah, right? The phrase La ilaha illallah, as we know, its meaning is what? La ma'bud bihaqqin illallah, right? And this is the mahdhuf. This is the phrase that is a taqdir, right? It is a phrase that is implied, even though it's not written there. It's not, you're not going to verbalize that. So La ilaha illallah means La ma'bud. There is no object of worship bihaqqin, in truth, except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's the meaning of it. You find it often in the Arabic language. Here, when you say Bismillah, right, you have a jar and a majroor muta'alliq bi mahdhufin. They are connected to a mahdhuf, a phrase that is not there, even though we understand the phrase. We understand it, even though it's not there. And that phrase is, he says, Asta'inu Bismillah. Right? Asta'inu, as we said, the meaning of it is Isti'ana Bismillah. Right? So the phrase that's not there is Asta'inu. I'm seeking the help. Bismillah, with the name of Allah. I'm seeking help with the name of Allah upon this writing that I'm embarking upon this letter that I'm about to write, upon this speech that I'm about to give, and the likes of this. Now, he says that, or the meaning is abtadi'u, Bismillah, right? Or the mahdhuf, it is abtadi'u, I begin Bismillah, with the name of Allah, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. Now, he says that, and one does so tabarrukan biha, seeking blessings with Allah Ta'ala's name, wasti'anatun billah, and seeking the help of Allah Azza wa Jal. فهي مطلع عظيم للكلام. So therefore it is an excellent precursor to speech and writings and books. فالإنسان يستعين بالله. So the person is seeking the help of Allah Azza wa Jal in beginning his writings, and likewise seeking blessings by way of utilizing the name of Allah Azza wa Jal at the beginning of his book, in hopes that the book is going to contain barakah, it's going to contain fa'idah inside of it. So the first risala So just to give you an introduction to the Usul al-Thalath if you're not familiar with it, right? And again, we encourage everyone to memorize the book if you can. Memorize the book if you can. It would not take you long, inshallah ta'ala. Now, so you have two parts to it, right? There's the actual three fundamental principles themselves. It doesn't start till later inside the book, right? So what we're going to take now is a portion of what was understood to be the muqaddimah, right? So this is not actually a part of the three fundamental principles. The three fundamental principles comes later. So this muqaddimah, right, the ulama, they say, it was written as a separate treatise. It was written as a separate treatise. And either the author himself attached it to the three fundamental principles, or his students thereafter attached it due to their knowledge that the sheikh would teach them together, and they have similar subject matter, right? So he begins after this basmalah saying, "I'lam rahimakallah, know, may Allah have mercy upon you. Know, may Allah have mercy upon you." So his statement, "I'lam, know," right? He says, "Kalimatun tashiru ila al-ihtimam bil-mawdu'." It is a statement that is utilized to point to indicate importance of the subject matter, right? Know, right? When he tells you, he gives you this verbal command, know. Anytime it's used at the front of a statement or a statement introduced by way of this, it shows importance of what's about to come, right? You need to know this, right? So he's saying, فَإِذَا قَالَ إِعْلَامْ. So therefore, if he says إِعْلَامْ, فَمَعْنَاهُ أَنَ الْأَمْرَ الَّذِي سَيُلْقِيهِ عَلَيْكَ أَمْرٌ مُهِمٌ. So therefore, when he says إِعْلَامْ, then the meaning is that the affair that he's about to impart upon you is something which is important. Whatever he's about to teach you or mention to you is something which is greatly important. فهذه الكلمة تدل على أهمية الموضوع التي يبدأ بها فيه. So therefore, this kalima, the statement i'lam, it is used to denote the importance of this topic that he is about to begin speaking on. معنى i'lam, the meaning of i'lam, فعل أمر من العلم. It is the verbal command from the noun ilm, knowledge, right? And knowledge, barakallahu fikum, as we're going to as we're going to see inside of the book, right? Once he gets to this affair, knowledge, if it is left general, right? If we just say the term knowledge, we don't attach it to something else, then knowledge is what is defined inside of this book. Ma'rifatullah, ma'rifatu nabiyyihi, ma'rifatu din al-islami bil-adillah. Right? That is knowledge when it is left general. Knowledge of Allah, knowledge of his Prophet alayhi salam, knowledge of the deen of al-Islam with the evidence. Right? If you want to qualify it and speak about a specific type of knowledge, you have to mention what is connected to it. Ilm al-handasa, for example, knowledge of engineering. Ilm al-hisab, knowledge of mathematics, and so on and so forth. Right? You have to attach something else to it in order to qualify it. When it is left general, without anything else attached to it, then we're speaking about this religion. We're speaking about knowledge of Allah, knowledge of his Prophet, knowledge of al-Islam. So what is knowledge in a general sense, though? He says that knowledge, or when he says that the meaning of i'lam is a fi'l amr min al-ilm, ay ta'allam, meaning learn. You have to learn something. As the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam said, al-ilmu bit-ta'allam. Knowledge is by learning, it's by studying. This is how you acquire it. It's not by wishful thinking. It's not just by hanging around somebody knowledgeable. You have to learn. You have to learn. Now, he says, so the meaning of it is تعلم العلم هو إدراك الشيء على ما هو عليه في الواقع. And this is, he gives you a general definition of knowledge, right? Knowledge is إدراك الشيء. It is to have cognizance of the thing. Nam ala ma huwa alay, in its reality. To have cognizance of a thing in its reality. You understand it as it should be understood. Right? You understand as it should be understood. That is ilm. Nam. He says that أو تصور الشيء على طبق الواقع, which is just another way of saying the same thing. إدراك الشيء على خلاف ما هو عليه في الواقع أو تصور الشيء على خلاف الواقع. And the opposite of that, right, which is to know something in other than upon other than its reality, or to تصور الشيء, or to the image that you have of that thing is based upon other than its reality, then this is not knowledge at all. In reality, it is ignorance. In reality, it is ignorance. It's important to know the difference, because some people think they know something, right? But the way that they know it is upon other than its reality, right? So this in reality is not ilm, it's not knowledge. It's not knowledge. Rather, it is ignorance. He says that, قَالُهُ رَحِمَكَ اللَّهِ, his statement, may Allah have mercy upon you, هَذَا دُعَاءٌ لِطَالِبِ الْعِلْمِ. This is a dua which the author is making for the student of knowledge. فَالشَّيْخُ يَدْعُو لِطَلَبَةِ الْعِلْمِ بِأَنْ يَرْحَمَهُمُ اللَّهِ. So the author himself, the Shaykh, he makes dua for the students of knowledge that Allah has mercy upon them. That Allah has mercy upon them. وَأَنْ يُلْقِي عَلَيْهِمْ رَحْمَتُهُ. And that he cause his mercy to descend upon them. And this is kindness and gentleness from the alim to his students, that he makes dua for them, right? If you're in charge or responsible for teaching someone, whether it is your family, whether it is your brothers, whatever the case may be, you make dua for your students, right? You make dua for your students. May Allah have mercy upon you. May Allah bless you. May Allah increase you in knowledge and the likes of this. And this is gentleness and kindness and goodness from the author to his from the teacher to his students. And what this does is that it opens the heart of the student. It opens the heart of the student in preparation to receive that which the teacher is going to impart upon them. He speaks to them with good words. Something from someone when you know that this person loves you and cares for you. Now, and so the Shaykh, he makes dua for the students of knowledge that Allah covers them in His mercy. فَهَذَا فِيهِ التَّلَطُّفُ مِنْ الْمُعَلَّمِ بِالْمُتَعَلَّمِ. This contains inside of it an example of kindness and gentleness from the mu'allim, from the teacher, to the student. وأنه يبدأ بالكلام الطيب والدعاء الصالح حتى يؤثر ذلك فيه. And that the teacher, he begins with goodly speech, and likewise a dua salih, a good dua, in order that this can have an effect upon the student. ويقبل على معلمه, and that he can devote himself and be prepared for his teacher. وأما إذا بدأ المعلم بالكلام القاسي, as for if the teacher were to begin with rough speech, if he starts off, what's wrong with you? You're ignorant. Let me sit down. Let me teach you something. Right? He begins with rough and hard speech like this, with kalam غير مناسب, and speech that is inappropriate. فإن هذا ينفره. This is going to chase the people away. It'll chase the people away. Even if they sit there, their hearts and their minds will be somewhere else. Right? He says that, نعم. فالواجب على معلم وعلى من يدعو إلى الله. So it is obligatory upon the teacher and the one who calls to Allah تبارك وتعالى, وعلى من يأمر بالمعروف وينهى عن المنكر, and the one that commands with the good and prohibits with the evil. التلطف مع من يخاطبه بالدعاء له وثناء عليه, is that he begins by way of gentleness and kindness, and making dua for the one that he is teaching or advising. Very important point, because some of the people like to put themselves as, commanders of good and prohibitors of evil over others, and they don't have the manners for it. They don't have the manners for it. They don't understand the reality of what they're doing, so you find that they actually cause more harm than they bring about good. And they think that they are advising the people. They set themselves up as advisors, and I'm the one that's going to advise this sister and this brother and so on and so forth. And when they are, they have the worst possible manners, and they chase the people away. As opposed to the one that is wise, and he puts everything in its proper place. So utilizes gentleness where gentleness should go, firmness where firmness should go, and not the opposite. You come to the people, you make dua for them, and this is what we learn from the ulama. Use good speech and the likes of this. Talk to people how you want to be talked to, and the likes of that. Now, he says, and likewise, giving them words of praise, giving them words of praise, with kalam al-layyin and soft speech. Now, فإن هذا أدعى للقبول. This is something which it goes further in causing the people to accept what you're calling them to. أما المعاند والمكابر. As for the one who is obstinate, right? The one who's obstinate and the one who's arrogant. You're going to deal with this person differently, right? The one who is seeking the truth, the one who desires good, you deal with them one way, and the one who is arrogant and the one who is obstinate and they are ignorant, you deal with them a different way. You deal with them a different way. Now, he says, قال الله سبحانه, Allah Ta'ala says, ولا تجادلوا أهل الكتاب إلا بالتي هي أحسن إلا الذين ظلموا منهم. He says, and address or don't argue with the people of the book except with that which is best. Except with that which is best. You use the best possible speech. You use proofs and evidences and the likes of this. Use good manners. إلا الذين ظلموا منهم. Except for those who are wrongdoers amongst them. Those who are wrongdoers amongst them. وقولوا آمنا بالذي أنزل إلينا وأنزل إليكم وإلهنا وإلهكم واحد. And you say to them that we believe in what has been sent down to us and what has been sent down to you. Our ilah and your ilah is one. وَنَحْنُ لَهُ مُسْلِمُونَ. And we are Muslims. We are those who submit to him. فَالَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا مِنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ وَعَانَدُوا وَكَابَرُوا هَؤُلَاء لَا يُخَاطَبُونَ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. He says, for as for those who are wrongdoers from the people of the book, and they are mu'anidun, they are people who are obstinate, they are just ignorant and obstinate people that you find amongst some of them. They are arrogant. Then these people are not to be spoken to or dealt with that which is good and soft and mild speech. بَلْ يُخَاطَبُونَ بِمَا يُرُدَّهُمْ. Rather, you deal with them with that which will rebut them and refute them. Right? You deal with them with that which will rebut them and refute them. Because they're being ignorant, right? So you come to them and you deal with them accordingly. As Allah Ta'ala says, يَا أَيُّهَا النَّبِيُّ جَاهِدِ الْكُفَّارَ وَالْمُنَافِقِينَ وَاغْلُظْ عَلَيْهِمْ. As Allah Ta'ala says, O Prophet, make jihad against the kuffar and the munafiqeen and be stern with them. وَمَأْوَاهُمْ جَهَنَّمْ. And their abode is the hellfire, وَبِئْسَ الْمَصِيرُ. And an evil destination this is. And when he speaks about the munafiqun, right, it's not just the hypocrites themselves. As hypocrisy, it is of two types. You have nifaq al-i'tiqadi, right, and nifaq al-amali. Nifaq al-i'tiqadi is hypocrisy in belief. Hypocrisy in belief. It's the person who outwardly displays iman, inwardly concealing disbelief. On the inside, he hates Islam, hates the Muslims, right? This is the individual who has nifaq al-i'tiqadi. This person in reality is a disbeliever, but we deal with him based upon what's apparent to us, right, from his Islam. Then you have nifaq al-amali, hypocrisy in action. A person does an action that is apparently hypocritical. Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, he mentioned ayatul munafiq arba'. Signs of the hypocrite are four. Man kunna fihi fahuwa munafiqun khalis. Whoever has all of them inside of him, he is a pure hypocrite. And whoever has a khasla, right, whoever has a khasla or a sign amongst these signs, he just has a sign of it until he gives it up, right? Showing you a difference between the pure hypocrite and the one who has hypocrisy in action. Now, but amongst the generality of munafiqun are ahlul bid'ah, the people of innovation, or the people of innovation and deviation. They are dealt with, as Allah Ta'ala, he mentions inside this ayah, وَغْلُظْ عَلَيْهِمْ. Deal with them sternly. You deal with them sternly. Now, we find the individuals asking, for example, as we've seen over these past few days, people speaking about our upcoming conference. Why are we speaking about the people, right? Why are they speaking about the people? It's all the Salafis ever do is speak about the people and the likes of this, right? So, do you really have an issue with us speaking about the people, right? Because you talk about us all day, right? So you really got an issue with people being spoken about? If so, then why are you speaking about us, right? Furthermore, yani, these individuals, yani, did not understand the harm of Ahl Bid'ah. You don't understand the harm of the people of innovation. And if these ideas are allowed to just, just run freely amongst the community and amongst the people, how many people do we know? Yani, someone posted something recently. There's a rapper out of Philly who used to be a Muslim. He left Islam and joined the Israelites. Left Islam, right? And he believes that he found guidance by leaving Islam and going to the Israelites, right? How many individuals we know that are affected by the likes of these groups, the likes of the Shia, the likes of the Sufis, the likes of the Quraniyun, and so they're not stopping their doubts, they're not stopping their bid'ah, so we're not going to stop refuting them, right? We're not going to stop refuting them. And so the people of deviation enter into that generality of munafiqun. Now, so he says, وَالْمُنَافِقُونَ لَا يُجَاهَدُونَ بِالسِّلَاحِ. So the hypocrites, we don't fight against them with silah, with weaponry, right? وَإِنَّمَا يُجَاهَدُونَ بِالْحُجَّةِ وَالْكَلَامِ وَالرَّدْءِ عَلَيْهِمْ بِالْغِلْظَةِ. He said, but rather we make jihad against them by way of proofs and evidences, and by way of speech, and by way of rebutting and refuting them, and being stern in order to chase the people away from them, right? This is how you deal with these people who oppose what is correct, right? Because you have the issue, this principle, from the principles of Salafiyah. And that principle is ar-raddu ala mukhalif, rebutting or refuting the mukhalif, the one who opposes what is correct. If the one that opposes what is correct is a Sunni, right? Salafi. The Salafi can be wrong. We can be wrong, right? Right? We can make mistakes. So if the one who opposes what is correct is a Sunni Salafi, there's a way you deal with your brother from Ahl Sunnah who errs or makes a mistake. You rebut the mistake, you call it, what it actually is. It's a mistake, it's wrong, right? But you preserve the honor of the person of Sunnah, right? You preserve his honor, right? But the person of bid'ah, person of innovation, the person of hizbiyah, who makes a mistake, who errs, then you rebut him and his mistake, right? And he has no karam, he has no honor. You are stern with them, you're firm with them, right? Rad'an alay, in order to repel him and to put down his fitna. In reality, you find Ahl Sunnah, in doing so, when we refute the people of bid'ah, we are more merciful upon them than their mothers are. Because anytime a person practices a bid'ah and he calls to his bid'ah, then everyone who follows him upon his bid'ah, he's going to have a sin for every follower he has. So when a Salafi comes and he refutes him, right, and he minimizes their followers, and they warn the people against them, then they are minimizing their followers, thus minimizing their sins. So we are more merciful than them than their mothers are to them by our refuting them. Now, he says that وَتَنْفِيرًا لِلنَّاسِ عَنْهُمْ, and to chase the people away from them. مُقَالَ تَعَالَى فِيهِمْ, Allah Ta'ala says regarding them, قُلْ لَهُمْ فِي أَنفُسِهِمْ قَوْلًا بَلِيغًا, say to them a firm word that reaches their heart. He says, هَؤُلَاء لَهُمْ خِطَابٌ خَاصٌ. So if these people have a specific way that we speak to them, versus the one who is seeking the truth. The one who's seeking the truth, there's a specific way that you deal with that person, right? You deal with the one who's seeking the truth with kindness, with gentleness, with forbearance. You sit down with them, you discuss the issue with them. If you have to go back and forth with them until they understand it, as long as you know that they're sincere in what's apparent to you, right? Then you take the time that's necessary to guide them and direct them. Now, so they have a specific way of dealing with them, right? Because they are people of inad or mukabara, people who are of ignorance and obstinance, and they don't want the haqq. Rather, they want tadlil al-nas, they want to lead the people astray. فَهَؤُلَاء يُخَاطَبُونَ بِمَا يَلِيقُ بِهِمْ. So this class of people is dealt with what is appropriate for them. أما الطالب المسترشد, as for the student, the one who's seeking the truth, and he's seeking right guidance, هذا يخاطب بالرفق, he is to be spoken to and addressed with gentleness. rahma and mercy, lutf and likewise a softness or kindness. Why? Because he wants the truth and he wants ilm and he wants fa'idah. He wants the benefit. So when the author said, "I'lam rahimakallah," know, may Allah have mercy upon you, it's a dua lak, birahmah. He's making dua for you. The author is making dua for you to have the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal. فَإِذَا رَحِمَكَ اللَّهُ فَإِنَّكَ تَكُونْ سَعِيدًا بِهَا فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. If Allah has mercy upon you, then you will be in a state of felicity and joy in the dunya as well as the hereafter. You are fortunate. وَإِذَا دَخَلْتَ فِي رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ فهذا دعاء هذا دعاء من عالم جليل ورجل صالح يرجى له القبول إن شاء الله. So now, once this you enter into the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal, and you enter into this dua from this knowledgeable, this upright scholar and this righteous man, then it is hoped as a result of that the dua is going to be accepted and that you will have indeed the mercy of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala. The author goes on to mention أنه يجب علينا تعلم أربع مسائل, that it is obligatory upon us to have knowledge of four matters. He says that نعم قوله يجب, a statement in which he said يجب, it is obligatory. الواجب هو ما يثاب فاعله ويعاقب تاركه. How we know something is wajib? That which is wajib is that which, if you do it, you're going to attain a reward. And if you don't do it, you're going to earn a sin. Right? You'll be punished for not doing it. Right? The wajib is that which, if you enact it, if you do it, you will be rewarded for doing it. If you abandon it, you have earned a sin and you're going to be punished for abandonment of it. That's the wajib. And this is in opposition to that which is mustahab. That which is mustahab, that which is recommended, it is that which, if you do it, you're going to be rewarded. But if you don't do it, you're not going to be punished. All right? It's only recommended, it's not wajib. Okay? And then you have that which is mubah, that which is permissible. That which is permissible is that which, if you do it, it's not going to yield you a reward. Right? And if you abandon it, it's not going to yield you any punishment whatsoever. It's just permissible. Right? From knowledge, you have that knowledge which is wajib. Right? You have knowledge that is wajib. You have some types of knowledge that are not. Right? So therefore, you can divide it and say some knowledge is fardun ayn. Right? It's individual obligation. Some knowledge which is fardun kifaya. Some knowledge which is a communal obligation. Somebody in the community must have that knowledge. Otherwise, everyone is blameworthy and sinful. Right? From the examples of that, knowledge which is fardun ayn, right, an individual obligation, we all as individuals must have it. Knowledge of how to pray properly, for example. All right? Every individual must have knowledge of how to pray properly. You must have knowledge of Tawheed. All of us has to have knowledge of Tawheed. All right? And like this, knowledge of the Aqidah. Do you have knowledge that is fardun kifaya? Knowledge, for example, of the laws of inheritance. Right? Laws of inheritance. It's not upon every single individual to have that knowledge, but somebody amongst the community has to have it. Right? Otherwise, everyone is blameworthy. Knowledge of prophetic medicine, for example. Somebody amongst the community must have the knowledge of prophetic medicine. Otherwise, everyone is sinful. Right? And so on and so forth. So when he says, yajibu alayna here, it's obligatory upon us here, right, to have knowledge of these four matters. This is knowledge that is fardun ayn. It's an individual obligation. Knowledge of Allah, right? Knowledge of His Prophet. All of us have to have this. Now, يعني أن هذا أمر ليس هو من المستحب. So when he says yajib, he says meaning this issue is not mustahab. It's not just recommended for you to know it. You have to know it. You must know it. ولا من المباح, and it's not from those things that are just permissible for you to know. بل هو من الواجب العيني. Rather, it is wajib al-aini. It is fard ayn. It is an individual obligation. فإذا تركنا تعلم هذه المسائل فإننا نأثم. So if we abandon learning these issues, then we are sinful for that abandonment. لأن هذا شأن الواجب, because this is something which is obligatory. ولم يقل يستحب لك. He did not say it is recommended for us to know it, or it's nice if you know it. بل قال, rather he said يجب علينا وجوبا. It's obligatory upon us, meaning وجوبا. We must know it. Now, والوجوب معناه الحتم. And that the meaning of al-wujub is al-hatm, it meaning that it is binding. وَمَنْ تَرَكَهُ يَأْثَمْ. So therefore, the one that leaves it is sinful. لأن العلم لا يحصل عليه إلا بالتعلم. Because knowledge is not acquired except by learning. You have to put the time in. You have to put the work in order to learn it. Now, وَتَعَلُّمْ يحتاج إلى عناية وجهد ووقت. And التعلم, it requires عناية, care and consideration. You have to take care who you're learning from, for example, what it is that you're taking your time out to learn, right? What books you're reading, you have to take care. So it takes careful consideration. Now, it doesn't mean that you just go on YouTube and just start clicking, right? You are very selective. As Ibn Sirin, he said, إن هذا العلم دين. This knowledge is deen. فانظر عمن تأخذ دينك. All right, so examine the one that you take your deen from. Examine the one that you take your deen from. Now, if you want to, for example, if you feel like you're sick and you need, some type of treatment, and you go to the hospital and you have questions about your health, you're not going to go to the janitor at the hospital, the one that's mopping the floors, right? You want to speak to the doctor. You would like to get the best doctor that you can find, right? So similarly, in the affairs of religion, right, we want to be careful who we ask and who we are taking our knowledge from, right? We don't just take from any old body. Our deen, right, is more precious to us than our children and our money. Now, and you wouldn't trust your child to any old body. You wouldn't trust your money to any old body. So why entrust your religion to any old body, right? Anyone who's on YouTube who has a beard and they look nice. Now, he's sitting in front of a bookshelf and, with a shimar on and starts talking. Be careful. Now, so it takes inayah, it takes careful consideration. Likewise, it takes juhud, it takes effort. It takes effort, right? You have to sacrifice. You have to sacrifice. You have to spend time. You have to work. You have to memorize. You have to do all these things in order to acquire ilm. You have to take time out to do it. And it takes waqt, it takes time. ويحتاج إلى فهم وإلى حضور قلب. And it takes understanding. You have to strive to understand what it is that you're studying. And presence of heart. The heart has to be there. The heart has to be there. Now, وهذا هو التعلم. This is learning. Statement in which he said, أربع مسائل يعني مباحث. When he says 4 matters, meaning 4 fields of study. 4 fields of study. سميت مسائل لأنها يجب أن يسأل عنها ويعنى بها. They are referred to as masail. Why? Because it is obligatory that they be asked about and that one gives them due consideration. And we'll save the first of the 4 for the next lesson, inshallah ta'ala, which is ilm, as we said, and that knowledge it is knowledge and awareness of Allah, knowledge and awareness of His Prophet, knowledge and awareness of the Deen of Islam with the adillah. This is what knowledge is in a nutshell. As we said, when knowledge is left unrestricted, that's ilm, that's knowledge, right? Any other knowledge, you have to qualify it by attaching another term to it, right? Knowledge of medicine, knowledge of this, knowledge of that. Allah Ta'ala knows best. We'll stop here. بإذن الله هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه